Well, hello there again, friends. Today is 6/2/2022, and today is the Odin Project Vlog Day 114. So on my screen here, you see the index.html. We're going to start there and kind of walk our way through the modules, and and then we'll finish up with the browser, and we'll view the CSS as applicable in the browser. So I want to start off by prefacing this video with I'm not really at a particular section in the project, because if you remember, I left off last video with saying I was going to go back and figure out a UI to use, and that is what I've done here. So basically, I did exactly what I said I was going to do. Is I took the old project that we'd done quite a while back, the library app project, and I took the end result of that and started refactoring it, and ran into some some hangups, and some hiccups here. But nevertheless, I've been refactoring that, recoding it, and I've got quite a bit of ways to go with it. But I got to a good stopping point here with the UI. Basically, got the form filled out like 98% of the way I want it and the way I think I want it to work, and so I figured it was a good place to stop to make a video. So with all that said, let's get started. So this is basically been brought over. Some of the stuff I will mention, I'm going to kind of take you in a cursory and kind of go over it a little bit fast, because a lot of it just is going to be duplication from the library app series. So if you have not watched that yet, I encourage you to maybe stop this video and go back and watch that series first, and then come back to this, because I'm going to skip around some stuff that may not make sense if you haven't seen that project series already. And I have playlists on my channel for all the projects. It's called It's called a library app. So if you go find that and watch that, I think it's five-part series. You'll be up to speed. But for the rest of you that have been OGs on my channel, here we go. So basically, I brought everything over and just refactored the class names and the selectors in the CSS. The only additions I did was I added a project section here, and it's a selector for creating whether you're going to create a new project or use the default project as per the instructions in the requirements. And then there's two option values currently. Again, this is subject to change, but I have default project and create new project. And then this stuff here is all the same as before. It's just been refactored, or refactored just in name and title, and the IDs and classes have changed just so they make sense for this project, just renaming them. And then I did add a extra selector here. This is for priority. So you have a option value for low, and option value for medium, and option value for high. Excuse me. And then so that's a selector drop down, just like I did for project. And then here's where I got went off the deep end and did some kind of cool stuff, but boy, I got stuck on a lot along the way, and that's why it took me a little while to get this video out. So here I created a label for checklist, and this is checklist items to add, if any. And this is I've hard coded in a unordered list class called ToDo-URL or UL, excuse me. And that is at the bottom of the form, and then the form close tag. So a lot of the magic today that we're going to be going over in the DOM manipulation is all pretty much going to happen inside of the UL tag. So we'll have a lot of child nodes inside of there. And then I also added add to checklist. Yeah, so I added this input and this button here. And so this input is a text box, basically, to a placeholder says type checklist item here, and it gives the user the ability to type in manually the what they want to put in the checklist, if anything, and then I use JavaScript to append that to the UL. Once they click this button right here, they add item to checklist button, and then there's a page break in there, BR tag, and then the submit and reset as per the previous project. And that is it. Everything else is not changed or has remained the same from the previous video. So let's head over to index.js. So here I'm importing, I don't remember from the last video, I haven't watched it since I made it, but I'm pretty sure I had these imports in here, but I've expanded on these. So what I did was I went ahead and changed the name of my file from initial dominip to just dominip of the file, because you'll see here in a moment I went ahead and created multiple exports. Once I found out I could do that cleanly, I made multiple exports coming out of that file, and they're all doing the same single responsibility of DOM manipulation, just taking on different things as what this sounds like here. Clear the form, add item to checklist, display the form, display default project, which is grayed out right now because I'm not currently calling it. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do with that yet. But so we have call blank project load. I think this was in the previous video, so I won't go over that. That actually just comes out here and makes an array and pushes the project title. I'm not sure I'm going to use this. That's why I kind of cursoried over it. It's not changed. I've not added or anything to it since the last video. It is loading. It's just not doing anything right now. It's just kind of doing it in the background. There's no because I am not using display default project yet for the dominip, so it's not actually doing anything on the screen. I mean, it's doing stuff in the background and in console.log, but and then I have this commented out. I think I had this available before. I commented out because I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, or if I'm going to use that. That's where is my file? Oh, display default project. Oh, yeah, duh. That's this right here, this little chunk. We went over this in the last video too. I haven't done anything with that yet either. That kind of goes along with the blank project load. So yeah, so I just commented that out for now. Here's my click events module that I said was a to-do on the last video. So I did make that. So we have a click event for displaying the form, and that calls, as we've seen 100 times, that creates the add event listener and calls the display the form module. That's inside the all these are inside a dominip. All three of these are, and there's a quick event here for the adding an item to the checklist, and then there's a quick event for clearing the form. These are all on the front page inside the form that you can manipulate. There is one here, and I'll go over why I didn't put it out here in a minute, but there is one in here inside of checklist that's in add item to checklist that adds another event listener, and I'll show you that here in a minute. And it'll make more sense if I show it in the browser too. So let's go over to dominip, because that's where all these three are located. So this has changed a lot. So the dominip here is I broke it out by exports. We just went over the top one. Then we have export. Okay, so to display the form, I just kind of did these in order that you've seen them on the calls. So from index.js. So this one, all it does is displays the form. If you remember from the previous project, we use style.display equals empty string, and that will cause the form to appear. So that is what happens when you click the button that says add. I think it's called add to do. Yep, add new to do. And again, I'll show the showcase at the end here, so it makes more sense too. And I have another export function, add item to checklist, and this creates a variable called add item that takes the contents of get document element by ID, add to checklist.value. So what this does is it reads from the checkbox from the I call it the checklist text box, if you will. It's gonna read whatever .value just reads whatever the user types in there, and then that's gonna get appended to add item. And then I got a comment here that says run check to see if input box is empty and button was clicked, like for example, like if it was done accidentally. If so, return out of this function gracefully, do nothing. If not, apply contents to new li and dom. Sounds like a lot, but we're going to go through it here. So I have an if statement that challenges it. So if add item is not empty or empty string blank, meaning there's something in it, somebody types something in it, even if it's just a letter, we're going to create a constant UL that takes on document.query selector, and that's the ToDo-UL we seen in the HTML, and we're going to have a constant li that takes on create an element of li, and then li.text content. We've been over that before, so that applies either a string is the end result, that string text on the screen. So we're going to add, but we can add it as a variable too. So we're going to add the contents from add item, which we got from right up here, right here. So we're going to, sorry about that. We're going to put that into text contents at li, and then we're creating a span here, and we need that to be able to create a clickable area basically. And then span.class name equals remove checklist item. So we're giving it a class name here, and this is strictly mainly for CSS purposes. And then got a constant remove icon variable that takes on a document.create text node. I googled this. This is something new. We've not done this before, at least not on this channel. Create text node with the / u00d7. That creates an X, and you'll see it in the browser here. The familiar little X you see for like trashing something or removing it off the screen. And so we're going to then you can actually take that uniquely enough and apply that icon as a variable. So that's what this is doing here. So it's becoming remove icon. And we have li.append child span. And so what we're doing is we're appending the span that we just created to the list item, and then we're appending remove icon, which we created here with that X, and we're going to append it to span. So it's going to be inside the span container, and then we have a UL appended li. So then after that we're going to append the list item to the unordered list. So we're kind of going from linearly from the smallest to the largest appendage, appending each child along the way. And then we're going to do document.get element by ID, add to check class.value equals blank or empty string. And what that does is basically just sets the checklist box back to blank, nothing, because I found a hole. Again, this is why I wanted to create the UI and play with it in the last video. I was telling you that because of things like this. So there was a issue where I would submit, hit the, punch in the data, hit the submit, punch in the data, hit the submit, and then the previous data was remaining in there. It wasn't automatically clearing. So this just basically clears it and sets the text box back to blank, back to nothing, and shows the placeholder again. And then here we're doing a DOM manipulation check for existing list items that are already present. So what it's saying is if the document.query selector all li.length is greater than 0, which basically means we're going to run a list node of all li's, and if that comes back as anything greater than 0, meaning there's something there, we want to run everything inside the if. So I was just doing console.log for query purposes or diagnostic purposes, and then we're going to create a node list checklist constant variable that takes on document.querySelectAll.li, which is basically what we just challenged for here. So we're going to create a node list checklist and then console logging for diagnostic purposes. And then we're gonna bind the click event to each node in the node list and remove node if clicked. And I know it sounds like a mouthful, but basically we're going to go through the checklist of the nodes, and then for each one we're going to have a parameter of checklist item, and then each checklist item, which is basically each checklist inside of the node, is going to get an event listener of click, and then that function fires an anonymous internal function for remove item from checklist, and that's firing right away, and just firing this code right here for checklist item.remove. And what that does is just removes the individual element. And since we're in a for each, it's going to end up putting a listener on a click listener on each and every check item list inside the node list, such as HTML LIs. So it's going to put a click event on the span inside the LI, and if it's clicked, we're going to remove the LI only if it's clicked. So we're adding the event listener on every single one, but it's not firing unless it's clicked. So that's important to know. And because a lot of times when you see .remove, I'm usually, and it's in the context of me clearing the screen automatically, but that's not what we're doing here. We just want to add event listener for a click in case somebody accidentally added a list item basically and they wanted to remove it before they added it to the project. They're able to do so. Again, me talking this through probably doesn't make a lot of sense. It'll make more when I show it to you in the browser probably, but I always like to go through the code first. So then the other side of the if statement, so if there is nothing and it is blank, the add item from up here, which is what we collected from the text box, we're going to gracefully return, and that basically just takes us out of the if statement and returns us out the add item to checklist, and returns us back to basically no input, and it's just waiting for the next click or wherever you're at in the workflow. And I've tested that and it works great. And then we have the last one, export function clear form, and that's just what it sounds like. So we're creating a constant node list checklist again, and just like before, similar as up here in philosophy anyway. And it takes on document.querySelectAll.li, and then I am running. So there I got the node checklist, and I am running a for loop through, and instead of a for each, mainly because on this one, that makes this one different, is I am wanting to remove each iteration of the checklist items, and I wasn't able to find out on a Google search. I wasn't able to see how I could do that with a for each, because I needed to increment with a loop, and this is a loop, but I didn't find a way that I could do a for each and iterate through easily with each one, each index. You could do like I did one other project and create a variable called index and set it to 0 manually, have increment, but this is cleaner, and probably less heavy on the processor, so this is what I went with anyway. You can check me in the comments if this is not appropriate to use, but I have I equals 0, I is less than no checklist.length, so it's just basically checking the length of the list, the node list, and incrementing, and then when it increments through each node list checklist item, so every time it increments through each one, we're going to do .remove, which basically, as it sounds, just removes it from the node list until there's nothing left. And then this bottom line is document.getElementById. That's because we have a to-do ID that's the ID for the entire form, and .reset with no argument is a method that actually resets the form. And this is not new. This came from the previous project's syntax. So there's that. Sorry for it being overly wordy. Feel free to rewatch this again for further understanding. But I don't think I skipped anything other than the CSS. But this video is getting long, so I probably won't go in great detail in the CSS. But I'll show you how this works. I mean, you guys, we've done CSS enough that I think you probably have a good handle on it. But I'll show you how the workflow here, how this works. So brings it up here. Got councils, so all this stuff I'm not going to go through because this hasn't really changed. This presentation of this initial load here, I haven't changed it from the last video. Hit the Add To Do button, then it displays the form. So title, test, description, blah blah blah. Put in your due date. Gives you a nice little drop down. You can set your priority, and then here's that checklist add items. Checklist items added, if any. That's the UL in there. You just can't see it. And then if we type something in like test, add item to checklist, and this is what I got stuck on this for a while trying to make this. This is a new feature that was not in the old library app. So I spent a lot of time figuring out how to do this. So that we just went through in the code, but I spent a lot of time. So there's those. You see it's inside module if, and it's incrementing the node list, so it's showing me that it's working correctly. And then if you click the button here, the little X, see how my cursor changed with the CSS to a pointer and removed. And I don't have any logic to console logs, but you can see it's removing. And if you really want to be overly thorough, you can go into the form here and go down to the UL, ToDo UL, and you see there's a couple in here still, and you can see us add some. There it added another one, and there it added another one, and you can see them go bye-bye. Delete, delete, and it's not hiding it, it's actually removing it per the code we put in there. So and that's it. And then if you do something like this and say you just wanted to reset the form, you hit reset, so this runs that last bit of code we just went over before we went to the browser, and that removes everything, both there and in the title description. See, there it goes. The submit to do doesn't do anything yet because I haven't gotten that far. I wanted to stop here. It was a good place to make a video. The logic's not built out for that. There's no DOM manipulation yet. It's going to obviously go over here. I haven't exactly figured out how I want to lay that out yet. This is how the old project, the library app, worked. If you remember, it goes through here and adds the cards. I may do something like this. I'm just not sold yet that I want to do this. It's easily done if I just poured over the DOM manipulation. It's not as easy as I originally thought, though, because none of this is modulated, and none of it uses single responsibility principles. So I have to refactor everything. So it's not as clear cut as I had hoped and easy to do. It's going to take a lot of work. So my thoughts right now, and it could change by the time I make the next video, but my thoughts are, for my future self, is I may use these cards, I may not. I love that I have these buttons, and I spent so much time to create it, and the toggling and the removing the library. I really like that format, but it may not bode well for making a to-do list. But we'll see. I may salvage it, but I'm still gonna have to rewrite everything because I'm not gonna show you the code because it's spaghetti code at this point. But none of it's modulated. It's all spaghetti. It's everywhere. And I really don't like it. So I think I can do better. So anyway, I don't know when I'll get the next video. I'm going to take it in probably smaller chunks because this is quite a beefy to-do list. It's doing a lot of different things, and so I haven't decided yet if I'm going to focus just on the to-dos for the next video or focus on how to create the projects, or thirdly, something I haven't talked about yet that is in the requirements here is they want you to set up date-fns and via installing it as a library into Webpack, which I need to research that, and I also need to research having a persistence web storage API in the background. So in the backend, excuse me, so I can store local storage, so that when basically you refresh the page, you don't lose all your stuff like you would in the library app. You know, you hit this, you know, you have it here. It's actually not stored anywhere, so you refresh and it all goes bye-bye. So I'm thinking I might set up that stuff before I move forward with adding a new to-do or anything like that, because I don't want to create good modulated code and then have to go back later and touch it again and refactor it a third time. So I might set up that local storage with the docs here, and then figure out the date-fns so that that stuff's already done and taken care of, and then go back and work on uh, uh, how am I gonna, you know, how am I going to put these to arrays or objects, or how am I going to do that, and how am I going to you know, display them here, and how am I going to apply them to the back end. So that'll be coming up. Again, sorry for the extra long video. Sorry, I just spilled my water. uh, Thank you for coming on the journey with me today, and I hope you learned something on this little longer ride today. Please like, share, and subscribe for more comments, or for more content. Excuse me, and let me know in the comments section how you guys are coming along with this project so far, and how you're tackling it. So if you're getting struggle busting like me at all. So anyway, with all that said, until next time, see ya.